Greed only works for the underlings because greed is about the accumulation of money. The people we're talking about, they print money out of nothing. All right, so stories from the Great White North. That is this section. We have What's Her Face. The Great Reset has moved to Canada. I guess maybe this guy Carney likes the World Economic Forum and thought the COVID lockdowns were not strict enough and good stuff like that. Probably we'll have to see. And then we have, they kicked out Russia Today or whatever RTV that thing was, the Russian outlet for state-sponsored media. They kicked that out a couple years ago, right? But we just got some news from Russia, and the report is called Trump versus Carney. Who gets owned worse? So we're going to hear from a Russian reporter. I think might be the first time on the show because, that Russia stuff got banned for a while because of the Russia Gate and PP Gate and the strippers and all that stuff that was alleged. By who? Christopher Steele at MI6. Our good friends in the Anglo-American Establishment, Five Eyes, brought you a 3 or 4 year scandal that's based on nothing. But, it was very effective in distracting people. We also have carbon tax carnage, Five Eyes to spy on all that you buy. Now, the Five Eyes group of intelligence agencies, let me just type that in. And Grand Theft World members, you have access to the online version of this. So it's not like I'm the only one who can type the things into the search. The Five Eyes joint surveillance programs are part of the English-speaking union. Oh, my goodness. Isn't this how we started the show? English-speaking union, Freemasonic ideas, British Empire. And then Five Eyes is how they codified it after World War II. You've got the English-speaking states as part of the U.S.-UK joint agreement surveillance programs and GCHQ coming together with NSA and helping the other English-speaking countries under the Atlantic Charter all build out their surveillance of the population systems. So you could have things like Cybercom or U.S. Cybercom, Cyber Command. And if you look at Space Force, it's really about cyberspace. So it's just more technocracy. It's more cybernetics. It's more surveillance. It's less privacy. And they got all sorts of stuff in store for people. So I think we need to learn about that. We need to do it not all at once. We do it step by step. And Paul Verge has thoughtfully submitted a report for this week for our edification. Now, we're not going to be able to watch the entire 40-minute report, but it is excellent, and I want to encourage you to go to his webpage on the YouTube. Maybe you've heard about the YouTube, and it's under Chet System, ChetSystem. I could also show it to you on the screen because we got fancy tools to make that happen. I press that button, I press this button, and right here, you see Chet System. That's what he looks like. You see his face. You hit subscribe. I got to hit subscribe. Maybe I wasn't logged in on this. All right, so Mark Carney, early support of government crackdown and a whole lot more. Paul, what selection out of this would you like to play? A first set of minutes, a little juicy tidbit from the middle, foreshadow the ending? How would you like to present your art meeting the contextual news for the week?
Yeah, I think the first 15 minutes kind of gives you the good outline on Carney. If people want to check out the remaining 25 minutes, that's where I tie it into the Five Eyes, the union of the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and then tie him at the end with Ghislaine Maxwell and some other characters.
Oh, so that's juicy. That's good. So you guys will be trusted to, like, when you go to YouTube, just jump 15 minutes into it and watch the rest. That's how that works. We're going to have that, and then we'll come back and we will comment because I also need to come up to speed on Mark Carney, is he Canadian?
Canadian by birth, European by heart.
Because wasn't he like at the Bank of England?
Yeah, he's a central banker.
Was he voted in? How did this happen? Did he just get appointed by King Chucky, or what? What's the deal? Is it in the video? Am I asking like wrong
He
question?
did a stint in Canada, and based on his loyalties there, they promoted him up to the UK governor of the Bank of England from 2013 up until 2 days before COVID started.
Huh. What a quinky dink. It's just good timing on that part. All right. Well, let's go to it. And thank you, Colby, for putting this block into action.
Canadians across the country are headed to the polls next month as our new Prime Minister Mark Carney has called a snap election. And with tensions rising between the Conservative and Liberal parties, there's just one question on everyone's mind. Who the is Mark Carney? He's a globalist central banker who's a member of the World Economic Forum, and he even has a transgender child to boot. He's referred to climate change as an emergency, and he's written a book called Values, where he promotes Marx and Engels, and outlines his strategies for correcting what he calls Western moral rot through an initiative we've all heard of before, called the Great Reset. A plan for the future where ordinary people will see less choice, less flying, less meat, more inconvenience, and more poverty. He advocates for a one-world government and central bank digital currency. Oh, and he also wants to ban gas vehicles by the year 2035. If you thought eggs were expensive, just wait till you find out what an EV lemon sets you back.
Привет, comrades! Welcome to Real Russian News, where you get last week's news this week. We have major delays due to the fact that we cannot get our shit together on time. Our top story. Harry Potter Ukrainian villain Voldemort Zelensky go to white people's house. You say, what did he come for this time? Did he come to find leftover Hunter Biden cocaine? Did he come for more money, for weapons? Did he come here for mineral rights deal? No, he came to white people's house to play card game with Donald Trump.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Things got pretty crazy after Volodymyr Zelensky said that he is also a magician, which makes sense because he do comedy and acting as well. Check out his card tricks.
You don't have the cards right now.
Wow, J.D. Vance, I know he was pro-life, but he really aborted that hand from his mouth. Great Russian asset Donald Trump is very upset. He had this to say after the meeting. He did that crazy gypsy magic. He did that put gypsy curses on me. And J.D. Vance, it was crazy. We didn't like it. It was just like Rasputin back in the Tsarist days. It ended very badly for him. Very badly, and I don't think it's going to end well for Zelensky. You come, you disrespect me, you do that dirty gypsy Slavic magic. We're going to give all the land to Russia, and we're going to make Russia USSR again. And there you go. World War III is going to start very soon. See you soon, World War III. Our next story, leader of Kazakhstan, Kim Jong Blackface, a.k.a. Justina Trudinder. He is very upset about tariff battle with America. America and Kazakhstan have tariff battle. Donald Trump says they're going to tariff them this, tariff them that. And Justin Trudeau is fighting back hard. He have this to say. We urge all Canadians, right now, we urge them to avoid American products. We will no longer masturbate to American pornography. We will only masturbate to Ukrainian pornography. And do what we all do as Canadians, and that is only buy products that are made in China. That's what we've been doing for years, and that's what we'll continue to do. And if you question it, you're racist. In other news, I support Palestine. Also, I'm a Zionist. Right after this announcement, the Canadian peso fell to an all-time low. Speaking of Justin Trudeau, he is actually going to step down. In his place is going to be front-runner Mark Carney, a.k.a. carbon tax motherfucker. He is going to rack up carbon tax so high, so big. It is going to be wonderful. We talk to Mark Carney right now. Mark Carney, nice for you to be here. Thanks for having me there, bud. Anyway, I'm probably going to be the new prime minister. Wow, that's amazing. Did you get elected? Nope, just who you know, he walked me in there. This sounds very familiar. This is how we do things in Russia. You don't get elected, you just take power. That's right, I'm an unelected official. Just like Elon Musk, except minus the autism and big dick energy there, bud. So what is your plan when you become head of Kazakhstan? Well, my plan is to raise carbon tax. Every time a baby breathes, that'll cost you about $300 there, buddy. Wow, what are you going to do with all this money? We're going to give it to Ukraine, of course. Are you going to use it to help end war? Nope, we're going to give it to Volodymyr Zelensky's cocaine fund. On the phone is Mr. Zelensky. Thank you for being here, Mr. Zelensky. Thank you for having me. I want to say a big thank you to carbon tax Carney for giving me all the cocaine.
And this is Mark Carney and his 5 eyes.
I welcome you to our land, America. We are soon to be...
well, there was a border when I came, John.
When was the last time you checked Twitter? So you've really involved yourself in... I remember you from 2008, and I mean this. Your work in helping Canada get through the economic crisis of 2008, the financial crisis that hit this country terribly, and I thought made a lot of really painful decisions for the people of this country. I thought Canada avoided the worst of that. And I believe you played a very strong role in that.
We did. I mean, thank you. We did.
You're so, you don't want
well,
to be with...
we're proud. We find you very attractive, but we're not moving in with you. It's not you. It's us. We do things a little differently in Canada. We believe in.
I just want to tell, before you go any further, yeah. I'm up for it. We're up for it. Whatever you do differently, we want to experiment too. What do you guys want?
So they're kind of priming you with this idea of what's an experiment, maybe some sort of integration. We want to have closer ties. Would that be in our interests? Possibly. Would it be in someone else's interests? Definitely.
All right, so what we're left with is central banker is going to come in and fix the inflation problem, and he's going to make everything better for Canadian citizens because, as you just heard, they were getting effed at the drive-thru, and Mark Carney is going to come in and he's going to fix it. Maybe. I wanted to give credit where credit is due. That was Byron Bertram. He's a comedian from Canada. He's not really Russian, I don't think, but he did pretty good doing the Russian accent and spasiba and stuff like that. So that was thoroughly funny. Got a lot of good comments during the live stream. Thank you, Byron. He and I met when I was in Canada visiting Paul like 15 years ago, probably. And he's still funny. And his impressions, it's very apropos. And, even though it's Russian news, I don't mind it's a week behind because sometimes, we're slowing the uptake over here too. Takes us a while to process the news. You got to wait for the dust to settle and make sure that you're getting all the news and not just the reactions at the beginning of a news cycle. Very important. Also, mighty fine work there, Paul. Like you really did a solid report, and it's worth going to see on your chat system page, which is right over here. Byron Bertram over on YouTube. Check it out. And then there's chat system. Jeez, I gotta take a sip.
I was gonna say too, with the Byron Bertram clip, you helped produce that too, right, Paul?
Yeah, I actually edited that whole thing with Byron, and he does all the voices for every character. Those are all him, like literally as we're filming, just switching between the characters, and then I put the TV up there with the little placard flipping back and forth, and yeah, man, he's amazing, hilarious, and it's almost like a Bizarro World version of Grand Theft World if there was some Russian universe where he's looking at 1 week old stories and trying to contextualize them with jokes and ridiculousness.
He's like the Canadian Kyle Dunnigan.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I like it.
Tell him to add that to his marketing. Just be like, I'm the Canadian Kyle Dunnigan. Get booked everywhere. I wanted to elucidate on a couple of the points that were being made there throughout on the points of Canada, but also like specifically toward the central bankers. And it would go something like this. Once upon a time, there was a land called America. America fought off the British in 1776 in the American Revolution for independence. And then the British came back in 1812, mostly because America tried to take Canada back then. And the British got pissed off and they acted through their agents, and they came and burned down the White House. Good lessons. And then at the Battle of New Orleans with Andrew Jackson, well before he was president, this is why he became president, he skirts them off. And there might be a movie out there with the pirate Jean Lafitte, who worked for the Rothschild family, by the way, but that's not in the movie. Now, follow me up to the 1840s. America's not in the Civil War yet, but you got westward expansion going on. There's a lot of states printing their own money in this country, and not everyone was good on paying their debts. And in the 1840s, the Rothschild family in Britain, the British branch, they were like, we need to teach the Americans how to pay their debts. They need to honor credit. Otherwise, the whole banker system, falls apart, right? So they started changing our education system because people were far too independently minded, and they didn't mind. Like when their state was paying money for something that they didn't agree to, maybe they didn't want to pay their taxes. And how dare they be uppity? Like this system was created. It gave this international banking cartel control. And then the Americans come along and they start, upturning the apple cart, as it were. Now, if I take you over here real quick to the history blueprint, go right in about here. The Bank of England is substantially older than America. Bank of England is 1694 to present. Oxford University goes back to the year 10-something. It's 1,000 years old. So these powerhouses, these turbines of the British Empire, are older than our country itself. And when the British Empire or the Bank of England has a goal, call it domination of the planet, they might not look seriously upon America leaving, right? It's like it's a divorce, but you'll be back type of thing, right? So having someone like Mark Carney come in, at the same time, you got someone who's like Trump over here. At the same time that King Charles was like, hey, how about we have like this menage a trois and get the Five Eyes all together and have a, new world order, basically. That's what they've been working toward. That's what they've called it. That's what they're still building. They haven't changed their agenda. Speaking of agendas, Mark Carney seems to be big into the green agenda, the Agenda 21 type of stuff. And if we go over to the history blueprint and we type in Agenda 21, let's say we don't know anything about Agenda 21 and we need to learn something about it. So we're going to click into, get my cursor over here. Agenda 21 was created by this guy, Edmund de Rothschild. Not in the 1840s, in the 1980s. So now there's this ominous continuity of a central banking family having downward, precipitation of ideas that later become very popular with the kids, you might say. Very popular. By the way, you can get the Live Earth Global Warming Survival Handbook. I should just show it to you, right? I mean, it's probably like right here. By David de Rothschild, right? Just upholding the family agenda, trying to spread it around evenly through the decades, just because, Edmund de Rothschild let's go back to the blueprint, back in the 1980s has this speech that you could watch and we've played on the show, all these types of ideas that lead to you having to pay more money for your life, which basically hasn't changed except they make it more complicated. There's more taxes, there's more costs and inflation and these hidden taxes, right? You got to have things that are green certified, and they want to get rid of cars that run on, dinosaur bones or whatever petroleum's made out of. Maybe it's abiotic, like Thomas Gold from Cornell University set forth, and that's been out there for a long time. Maybe it replenishes. Maybe there's a whole other layer of their scam that they're going on that Doge isn't going to catch anytime soon. Maybe we could learn those things like before they become a big deal. So I don't think that increasing the cost of living for people without giving them opportunity to outgrow that limitation is fair. I don't see how it's kind. I don't see how it's anything but cruel and unusual. Oh, it is the usual. It's cruel and unusual. That could be the title of a book about them. Somebody go start writing the book on that. I'll probably buy it, put it on the shelf as well. But just the ominous continuity. And I also want to point out, because a lot of people, like we played the clip last week of John Loftus, and he's like, well, it's not ideology, it's just greed. Greed only works for the underlings, because greed is about the accumulation of money. The people we're talking about, they print money out of nothing. They have a lust for power. They print money as a magnet to get people go do their work and things like that. Now, I'm not going to say that this is an accurate account, but there is an account of Rothschild international banking cartel using money as a type of magnet to do these things. And it's a book called Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper. And I'm not saying that's true or accurate. I am saying form and function wise, it's an accurate description of something that's going on. I'm not going to attribute it to like Amschel, Rothschild, or anyone else that, you know, necessarily saw it that way. This might be a later description of an earlier event, you know, that's just put on there. But if it's form and function understandable and helps you comprehend the situation, I think it's worthwhile to consider when considering such things. So central banker coming in to fix things for Canada at the same time that Trump's talking about taking Canada and Greenland and opening up these shipping channels. All of this stuff stinks to high heaven of the Anglo-American establishment, you know, and its coterie, NATO and Israel and other agencies of the empire, making their move. And they're making the move at the same time that they're distracting a bunch of people with here's some AI chatbots and stuff. And meantime, in the background, they're sucking up everyone's private data to try to figure out how to cybernetically control people and have mass surveillance and cameras and robots and drones and all this other not fun stuff that they want to bring in. Like, I mean, if there's a party going on and you are the person that brings a bunch of not fun stuff in there, I just think you need to work on your social, you know, acumen and techniques. But when you're doing it to the whole planet, and there's billions of people here trying to enjoy their life, I don't think that's cool, and I don't think we should take it. So we're not going to take it. It's not a Twisted Sister reference, but it did come to mind. Or was that Quiet Riot? I can't remember.
That was Twisted Sister.
All right, thank you. D. Snyder, there you go. You got your mention in Grand Theft World. I know you're a listener. I'm just kidding. David Coverdale, Whitesnake. Bring out your 80s rock stars. Insert there.
The hair metal gods. They've had their time.
Yeah. Some of them cut their hair and become pod fathers, like Adam Curry.
Yeah.
Right?
Shouts to Adam Curry.
There you go.
That was a great production, Paul. Bravo, dude. Good job.
It's hard to follow Byron too. Like that was courageous of you to go after the comedian.
It's not the first time I bombed after Byron. But hopefully it wasn't too big of a bomb, and the rest of the video does go a little more in depth into Five Guys and Five Guys Burger and Fries and the integration of the different countries and how that stuff could go down.
Now, what else can people see on the Chat System YouTube page that used to be your Paul Verge page before you named it after a project?
Yeah, I'm planning to do more releases, both as Chat System and as myself for Grand Theft World, just kind of resuscitating the page at the moment. But if people want to check out any of the classic work of Richard Andrew Grove going back to 2008, then there is a whole plethora of works and projects, and I encourage people to check it out. Check out the classics.
Yes. See where we were, see where we're at. That's the gist.
Compare and contrast.
Yeah, hopefully I got better at saying the same thing, because this has been a common thought about the Anglo-American establishment. But they keep showing up in all the stories. It's not my fault. Like, I don't have to connect everything to the Rothschilds. They do a pretty good job of connecting themselves to everything. So it's not a far stretch to be like Edmund de Rothschild and David de Rothschild. Like, you can make linear connections between the agenda and then the supporting propaganda from the future generation that's like, here's the family project. We're making everyone think that, you know, to go green means to like make everything electricity, basically, right? Which goes back to the Bill Cooper stuff. Maybe there was some of that stuff that you just need to look through a lens in present day and not necessarily see it as accurate back then. I don't know. Yet to be determined, as many things are. Now, we had some very, very exciting news come through this past week. We kind of covered, I mean, I don't know, we talked about it, but we didn't spend much time on it because I think it's a bunch of nonsense. But there's people who believe there's structures under the pyramids that go down for kilometers. Okay, maybe. But I'm not making bets on that. I'm just saying, as news goes in the past, like, there's people that'll make those types of claims sometimes. I would say if that's still a thing in a couple years, then okay, there's probably something to it. And if it goes away with the news cycle, then maybe there's not so much to it, because you're not going to go and drill core samples or do anything to verify these claims anytime soon. The CIA admits, allegedly, in a document, that they've uncovered, conveniently timed, Conveniently timed out there. CIA admits the Ark of the Covenant is real. Not Israel, is real. Sorry, didn't want it to be confusing in case you guys are listening on 3 times speed. And then they know where it is. It's buried someplace, very inconvenient to the agendas of people on the other side of the war on terror and, these sort of things. And so I had seen that clip from Redacted. However, I looked at my DMs in the Discord and I had a video message from Tony Myers, and it was Trump's Ark of the Covenant, End Times Prophecy Explained. I'm like, bro, I got to watch that. So I did. And so we're going to put it in because we have talked about the red heifers before on this podcast. We had to cover it at one point because I thought that was nonsense. Apparently, people believe in nonsense sometimes. And then we're going to cut into a Timcast because he covers the Ark of the Covenant, which we will already cover with Redacted. But I want to get to his claims about the Great Pyramid and the structure underneath it, just to get that in the record in case we didn't have it, because you got all this news coming out together, and it's just like a big Spielberg movie at this point that they're making. We got the Ark of the Covenant. Can't wait maybe they're going to pop out with the Holy Grail next week. And, they're going to have the Shroud of Turin walking around and reanimated and some hologram like Tupac that they do. I don't know. But they just have to turn the weirdness up to Spinal Tap 11 these days in order to make any type of dent in the news cycle. And I don't know. I don't want it to go back to the super mundane because then that would be H.G. Wells' Shape of Things to Come, where they took everyone down to the Stone Age. And then it was gangs of thugs with sticks ruling over humans until the New World Order internationalists come in with all their technology that they've preserved for themselves and hidden. So they're they have space planes and super technology and ray guns, and the people have sticks and stones. And that doesn't make for peace and freedom to coincide very easily. And that's what the New World Order is trying to make. They want peace on their terms where you won't have the freedom to fight back. That's what they're seeking. And so I go back to the founding fathers of America. What would they think about that goal? And what would they do about it? Because these guys gave up their farms, livelihoods, left their families, risked their lives. A lot of them paid with their lives because of a 2% tax on their breakfast beverage. It might have even just been the sugar that went in it. Well, it might, so. And where was that tea gotten from? From the opium monopoly on the other side of the world, where that guy was dumping chests of opium into the water on the East India Company, very similar to our Tea Party. But we're not taught about that. And it doesn't matter because it's been taken over by a communist regime funded by internationalist bankers a long time ago. So even what goes on in a country like China is not really reflective of the people in China. Just like we found out that what goes on in Canada is not really a reflection of the people in Canada. And when you try to reflect Canadianism, they just shut off your banking because that's the product that they widely control and be like, you're off. What did they do with Kanye? He said some things, all of a sudden, he's just canceled across. That would be just proving Kanye right by showing such broad stroke wields of power like that. But I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just saying if they wanted to prove that guy, hey, what he's saying is crazy but true, they would shut him off, shut off the tap. You shut off the tap on Alex Jones because, he finds Oliver Darcy in a hallway and says some mouth sounds to him. And you try to take away the man's entire way of life for millions of people who tune into him, not for him, but for the guests and the books and all the other things that you can learn that aren't on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. The reason that Alex Jones had such popularity that they had to go out and crush him was because of the failure of their propaganda. Why didn't they go get him in 2008 or 2009 or 2012? But by the time 2014, 2015, Trump getting into office, then that made him persona non grata with that group. They were no longer interested in recruiting Alex Jones to the Kissinger Associates superclass David Rothkopf type stuff. And they were like, how do we crush this dude? And they did a pretty good job. But as far as I know, that dude's still trucking. He's still trucking and he's still shipping sweatshirts. That's what I know. So I want to encourage everybody to, when the going gets tough, then we need to get tougher. We need to get tougher. And we get tougher by looking at reality as it is and then doing something about it, not pretending it's some other way and, continuing to binge out on things that are not elemental to our freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And, doing something about it. That's, the operative thing. And so like here in the United States, we have this whole situation where it's like, oh, we're just going to elect Trump and all of our problems are going to go away. And we're already seeing that that's absolutely
Superhero
not
mentality.
Exactly. So it's like already not the case whatsoever. So I'm of the opinion, and it's like, it doesn't even matter who's in charge because we can still take charge of our own destiny. We can still take measures in the face of tyrannical governments like that. The whole Biden administration, I leveled up harder than I ever have in my whole life. So it's like we take our autonomy back. We level up. We build communities. We build our own skills and resourcefulness. And so it doesn't even matter, you guys. So I'm always just like, who cares who's in office? So everybody in Canada, this is your time, your opportunity to crush harder than you've ever crushed before. There you go.
And on that point, I do want to mention, since Scott just brought it up, I wasn't going to bring it up till later, but I'll play the card now. Autonomy is kicking off season 13 this week with lecture 1. However, if you are in the platinum or VIP levels of Autonomy, I want to let you know there's something we didn't tell you. We added value. We added free courses that you don't have to pay for that are worth thousands of dollars and take weeks to deliver. We just thought we'd include it in your package sooner than later. So we used to just have Pro Media, which was an 8-week course for the VIP and platinum level Autonomy students. These are people who already know how to show up for themselves consistently, learn something, apply it, and reap the results. These people are moving at a faster speed and they get higher level services. So it used to be just Pro Media Magic, which was a way to transform your knowledge, to encapsulate your knowledge, to put your offer out to market. But we realize there's other skills you need to go along with that learning system. So we have Pro Streamer, taught by Martin Carl. Master your online presentation skills. So he knows how to set up OBS that, for instance, Colby uses to run a show like this. So that's a 12-week immersive course in parallel to Autonomy Season 13. So if you're at VIP or platinum level for Season 13, it's not a fire hose you're trying to drink from. We just brought Tsunami. Let me cover the third and final package in that. Mad skills. Now, learning the art of marketing, advertising, and design is how you put like a nice bow on this encapsulation of work. You've done something to grow some knowledge, understanding, experience, and wisdom. You've done something to package it up and put it out to market as far as creating a course, a service, some sort of outward expression of this is what you do and this is how you serve people and this is the value they get from you. But you also need to know, how do you make a graphic ad? How do you make a video ad? How do you make a thumbnail? All these other things that are the advertising, marketing, design aspects of it. So those courses, if you have been through Autonomy before, those courses are available a la carte, or you can buy them as a bundle. Or if you're Season 13 VIP or Platinum, we just included them for free because why make you pay again for something when we just made it better, cooler, faster? And if you're interested in outgrowing your status quo, we do have a web page over here. You might have heard of it before, but not clicked it. It is getautonomy.info. That'll take you to the Ignite page. And if you take the masterclass, Fear is Optional, that's your first step, because that's the hardest part of Autonomy, is getting your level of fear down and your self-respect up to understand that you're worth investing in. And we also have a special announcement, but I'll make that next week, as far as people who are worth investing in. And I think if you can watch this show and you can understand what we're pointing out and you're not fully finished yet with your education, I would urge you to go to getautonomy.info and check it out, because becoming aware is one thing. Becoming fully informed from watching the primer course, like you just go through a mini course to prove to yourself that you can start something and finish something. And then if you could talk to another human being, then you can find out your options for enrollment. And we've added options to enrollment to cater to people who indicated, I would like to do it, but I can't afford it. So we figured out, like, how can we get people to be able to afford it without losing the critical key elements? And we have a new package coming out next week called Elevate. Autonomy Elevate is just one season of Autonomy, full functions, but you don't get the lifetime enrollment and all the other accoutrements that people who are ready to make a larger investment in themselves have at their beck and call. So it's an easy way to get started. It lowers the barrier to entry. It takes away some people's excuses and removes the obstacles so they can grow and outgrow their status quo sooner. And there's no opportunity cost these days to doing everything. Things are getting more expensive, and the way I counter that is, it's time to raise my skills. That's all you have to do. life's a learning experience. The universe is a classroom. Embrace it with some curiosity and the methods, the tools, the principles, the tactics you need to be successful.
Twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week course. It teaches leadership, entrepreneur skills, executive skills, all these types of things that I saw were taken out of our education system in order to make the schooling or indoctrination system that we've all probably went through. And it has served us well enough to be interchangeable cogs in the machine of the globalists. But if we want a homestead, if we want write our own ticket, work from home job, work from anywhere type of situation, they're not exactly handing those out at the end of college. They give you a piece of paper and they're like, good luck. So reality is dropping us off here, but the demands of reality are up here. So I created Autonomy to help people close that gap for themselves so they can level up their skills to the demands of the situations that life is putting in front of us presently. Life's demands of intellect and understanding precision and complexity are ever increasing. The schooling didn't prepare us for it. The media is not going to do anything but reinforce what schooling prepared us for. And so we're going to have to take a leadership position and take steps off the beaten path to kind of blaze our own trail in life. What makes the Grand Theft World podcast unique, invigorating, exciting, and informative? Most other podcasts out there are either doing straight up interviews or they're just covering the daily news. They're covering current events from the day they happened. And that is effective. It's useful. It's a great starting point. And then sometimes these current events change during the week past the first story. So we like to give it a little time. You have to wait till some of the dust settles on these stories in order to give them accurate coverage. And the other thing that's really missing in the media landscape is covering the articles that are coming out every day. That's great. That's necessary. But who's bringing in contextual history so that you can understand what has been going on for decades and decades to lead up to the machinations and actions that we see unfolding today? So what we do here on the podcast is we cover current events. Many of these things are censored, but we wait about a week. As a forensic historian, I focused mainly through my career on the history of globalism and collectivism and things that they call maybe the New World Order. There's a lot of facts to these sort of circumstances, groups, events, activities, working groups that they've had over time. So for Grand Theft World listeners, we not only break down the current events, most of which that are censored during the week, we provide you with contextual history, we give you the source notes, the references, we do deep dives, and this really empowers you with an understanding of context and history so that you can make more informed decisions in your life. There's also a community, a membership where you guys can actually ask questions and we can get into the show and we can share evidence. And there's a town hall weekly for Grand Theft World for those who listen to it and are interested in covering the stories that we don't get to during a 6-hour show. Listening to it an hour a day, you could easily consume the week's news, but you're going to have substance and meaning and context and understanding. And with that, you can make higher quality decisions in your life. So if you're interested in more quality in your life, go to grandtheftworld.com, click podcast at the top, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
These allegations are false.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
What are the most surprising things that you discovered once you started pulling on that thread? Who he was connected to, what institutions he was influential over, what events he participated in?
Come on, man. What are we talking about? Come on, man. No.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
I got this quote because you said you didn't know much about Klaus Schwab. I made it my job to, as soon as this happened, I'm like, okay, this guy's their front man. Let me learn about the official history of the World Economic Forum. I got their 40-year history. I got every book that Klaus Schwab has written or ghostwritten. I went through those books. This is one of the most interesting passages.
Come on, man. Come